are live and back with another episode of Iron Therapy. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined by our RX Muscle staff psychotherapist, Lesley Timbol, and our special guest today, my good friend, IFBB Pro Roman Fritz. Welcome, everyone. We have three people on today, Les.
It's exciting.
Yeah. You know, today's topic, I think, is going to be one that I think almost everyone out there could relate to, which is extreme behaviors. You know, bodybuilders are probably the most extreme group of athletes out there. And a lot of us have started our extreme behavior well before we even got into bodybuilding. Roman, you know, I tell the story all the time and people love it, about your apple diet. You know, let's go back. I want Lesley to hear this story because how did this whole thing, because you were away in boarding school, right? Is that how it started? Tell the story.
Yeah. So I was in boarding school, and I at that time I had my phase of running, like long distance running.
You were long distance, and you were doing it right to get lean, right?
Nah, but I was a little chubby at that point, but mainly I was doing it I was doing it because I was chubby. I wanted to challenge myself, and there was really nothing else to do in the boarding school other than books and that shit. You know? There were no team sports. There was nothing. And they had a lake pretty near, so I started running around the lake. You know? And I had a book. It was called Power Food for Maximum Performance, which later turned out to be complete bullshit. And basically what the book told me was you got to eat carbohydrate for energy, and protein is not that important. You know, it didn't even talk about proteins or essential fats. It just talked about carbohydrates are important for performance. So if you're an athlete, you're eating carbohydrates.
Gotcha.
And I figured, well, I guess apples have carbs. And they were always available in that school. In the cafeteria, there was always a bucket of apples, and you know, the other food they served was that I used to eat before that was basically just cafeteria crap food. You know what I mean? So I figured, well, where can I get carbs without any garbage on it? So there was the apples.
Right. And
then I started eating apples, and this is no joke. I was literally eating apples. That was the only food I ate.
How many apples?
Yeah, I basically ate apples, and this is in one sitting. When I would sit down to eat, I would had at least 10 apples in one sitting. Yeah, and I would constantly eat apples throughout the day, just I would eat 3 apples without even noticing that I would, like a chain smoker.
Did the cafeteria feel that the apples were disappearing at an alarmingly fast rate?
Yeah, there was old ladies working there, and they saw me, the little 14, 15-year-olds.
Load up a bag with 100 apples at a time?
Yeah, I had my hoodie with the kangaroo bag in front, and I went into the cafeteria and stuffed the whole hoodie, stuffed my pockets, stuffed everything, and I went into the cafeteria 3 times a day like that and got my food. Right. So I was like an apple chain smoker.
Were you eating over 100 apples a day, you think, or no?
I think I counted it once. It was 50 or 60.
Oh my God.
That's a lot, you know?
Were you pooping your brains out from that stuff?
It wasn't that bad. I can't remember, really. It wasn't, it couldn't have been bad because it would have stuck in my memory.
Right.
But then the funny thing is, I was getting skinnier and skinnier and leaner, and the girls in the school, they picked up on that. They were like, "Hey, Roman, what the hell are you doing? You're getting so skinny for?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm eating these apples," and everyone started eating apples. All the girls started eating apples. But their mistake was they ate the regular food from the cafeteria, and then the apples later on. Yeah, so they all got fatter, and actually, obviously, they didn't exercise at all. You know?
Right. How many miles were you running a day at that point?
I was always my distance was at 21, so half a marathon.
Right.
That was my distance.
12. Oh shoot. 12.5 miles you would like doing?
Yeah. And I would basically just run.
And just run around the lake? That was the whole loop? What'd you do?
Yeah.
Oh my God. How boring.
Oh, it was, and I didn't, here's the thing. I was such a psychopath. I had no music. I was running in the snow, in the 100-degree heat. I had never brought water with me. Nothing. It was just me, track pants, a hoodie, no music, just straight up running in the zone.
Yeah.
You know.
And then tell them what happened one day.
Oh yeah, one day I collapsed on the track.
Yeah, you passed out.
Oh.
I passed out on the track, and I woke up. That was summer, so I woke up. I had like stones all over my face. Yeah?
Mhm.
I was like, "Fuck!" So I looked at my watch. It was a watch from McDonald's. You get with the Happy Meal. You know? So looked at my watch. I was fucking late for study time. You know?
Oh my gosh.
I got back up and ran back to school, and yeah, that was that.
Yeah. But that's extreme behavior, Lesley, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Discipline. Discipline. Unbelievable discipline this guy's got. How did you discover bodybuilding?
That was a cool story. So the school had a little weight room, like weight room. The size of it was, sad. Okay.
Right.
Maybe like most people's bathrooms, like the size of a regular bathroom, not big. So, and there were students there from Hungary. They were jacked, because they bench pressed. That they looked jacked. To me, they looked jacked. And they left the Flex magazine lying on the flat bench. So one day I went in there by myself when they weren't there, and I found that Flex magazine. It had Kevin Levrone on the cover. And I saw that Flex magazine. I was like, what the fuck? You can look like this? So I dropped the whole running thing. And that day I decided this is what I'm going to do.
Roman and my story sound so much alike. It's scary almost.
Literally, it was that day I stopped running and I started lifting weights. Still eating the apples, of course. Eating the apples. Yeah.
Oh, so the apple diet was going on the whole time. When did you discover protein?
I had a cousin, and an older cousin of mine, and my mom reached out to him because he was a trainer in the gym. And she told him, his name is Christian. Yeah, you got to help this kid because he lifts weights. He used to run. Now he's getting even more skinny, lifting weights 3 hours a day. Because that's what I would do. And he told me, listen, you gotta eat protein. You gotta go 6 meals a day, and have a somewhat of a good training split. Like you do upper body one day, lower body the next day, take a day off, then repeat, train 4 days a week. So that's what I did.
God forbid you take a day off, right?
And I did everything there. I took a day off, took days off. I trained 4 days a week actually, upper body, lower body split,
Right.
and then I gained pretty quickly. That was good.
Yeah. Roman contacted me when he was 19 years old, and he was tremendous and phenomenal at 19. It was unbelievable. How much weight did you gain from when you dropped the apple diet to 19?
So funny thing is, when I still was on the apple diet, the first 6 months was just lifting.
Right.
I gained 25 pounds on the apple diet.
On apples, on no protein. That's incredible. Who needs protein, right? Come on.
And then I started eating protein, and I gained another 25 pounds in 9 weeks.
Wow.
9 weeks.
So I was
50 pounds.
Yeah, but listen, I came from weighing at 5'11", I weighed 155.
I think I had to beat. I was at 5'10". I was to 238. I was the lowest I went with the running, and then I went up to 185 probably in 6 months. So just from eating. Yes, I can relate to what you're going. Now, Lesley, we're building the case. I'm ready. I'm almost ready to let you kick in, but there's just too much still I have to throw in here. So now Roman, let's flash back to Roman turns pro. He's been a successful pro. He's always placed in the top 7 at most of his pro shows, and he's probably one of the most conditioned guys up there. Probably one of the most disciplined guys in all of bodybuilding. He doesn't miss workouts. He doesn't miss meals and stuff like that. And you needed a hip replacement last year, and go tell us how that came about. Was that just your hip just started bothering you? And you're only 34.
Yeah, I felt a little. At that point, I was 32. Mm-hmm. So I felt a little pain, like in the front of my hip, like an impingement. Mm-hmm. And I thought, yeah, man, I pulled the hip flexor or something like that. And it didn't go away. So my doctor told me, let's just get an MRI. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out I had, I think it's the worst grade is 5, 5 on the arthritis. There's bone on bone in my hip, and it came from a dysplasia. It's just genetic.
Okay.
My grandpa had both hips replaced himself. So at that point, I still didn't believe it. I was like, fuck this. The doctors told me, we don't even know how you're walking around like that. You're bone on bone. How are you even squatting? I was still squatting, and 3 plates and 4 plates and all that shit. So I was just doing it because I didn't know. It started hurt. It hurt, and then my elbow hurts one day, my shoulder hurts the next day, then now my hip hurts. So what the fuck, right? So then a couple of weeks later, I wasn't able to walk at all anymore. I was lying in bed. I have a private gym in the basement. Mm-hmm. So all I did for almost a year straight was lie in bed or on the couch. And for my workouts, I would go downstairs, train, and then get back on the couch.
Oh, it was that painful. Yeah, I can relate to that with my shoulders. Yeah.
Miserable.
So you break down and say, fine, I'm going to get the hip replacement, right?
Yeah, and when you get the hip replacement, before that, everyone is telling you, yeah, your life is over. You can't do anything at all anymore. You can't run. You can't walk. You're a cripple at that point, prognosis. Right.
Yeah. You were probably in less pain the day after the surgery, probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I get the surgery done in December of 2020. Yeah, exactly. 2020. Yeah. Everything is good, but 3 months later, it's infected in February, and they have to take it out, put in a new one. At that point, during the surgery, I had a reaction to the anesthesia, and I almost died. It's called malign hypothermia. Was in a coma for a couple of days.
Wow.
And then I got into before the surgery, I was like 280. And then I came out at 230, something like that.
Holy
when I woke up from the coma, and then I had to take 3 months of antibiotics. Oof. The first 2 weeks were intravenous,
right,
and then 3 months orally. And you can imagine how gut cleansing that was.
Oh, I'm sure you were probably pooping your brains out from that stuff.
For 3 months. Funny thing is, I had no body odor for 3 months. No.
Because you had no bacteria.
All the bacteria was gone. I was like sterile for. And
what people don't realize is the way Roman got over this infection was he went back to the apple diet and they cleansed his body, right?
No.
All right, so let's flash forward 6 weeks after the second surgery now.
Yeah.
Tell him what you were squatting and deadlifting.
Yeah, I was. The squats actually came easier, but the deadlifts were the problem. So I figured, well, I can, as soon as it stopped hurting, and as soon as I figured, well, a bone takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal, let's try this out. So on my first try on deadlifts, I put 1 plate on, put 2 plates on, works. 3 plates works. Let's put 4 on. So 4 plates works. And then that's
your first workout back?
425. I pulled 425 on deadlift off the floor.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is holding. Let's go.
All right, Lesley, do you have enough evidence now for extreme behavior here? I think he's outdone everyone that we even know, right?
Oh, this
He
is
actually got
awesome.
up to almost 300 pounds in the off season.
That's incredible. Yeah. Incredible. And I'm sure that's only a taste of your life too, Roman. I'm sure there's many, many other examples.
My whole life is like that. My whole life is like that.
Roman, you know, I got to be honest with you. People, let me just pull up let me pull up this. This was the off season, 296 here.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how you came down to 240 for the show. You definitely overdieted, sure.
Yeah.
And you're doing Italy, right? In 2 weeks?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. See what I can. I'm trying to get a little bit of volume back. But I think I have to go and do another off season before I can actually put on some real muscle because I lost a lot. Right now,
yeah,
I actually figured I stopped weighing myself and just go with how I look. The fuller and rounder I look, the better. Because the whole weighing myself every day in the morning just drove me crazy. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable! What a story! You got a good story.
Yeah.
That's a lot you've been through. You know, I was a little worried about you, to be honest with you, and that's why I texted you a few times. A couple of your friends thought like they didn't. I think a lot of people didn't know why you were in your house all the time. So like Roman doesn't leave the house; he just works out at his house and stays home all the time, doesn't leave. I don't think anyone knew how much pain you were in.
I could not walk without a limp and without unbearable pain for almost a year.
Wow.
For almost from around March of 2020 to December when I got the first surgery, I was out. I sent my wife to get the groceries, and that's all I did.
I'm glad there was nothing psychologically wrong. What was there? Were you psychologically depressed during this time?
I was so depressed.
Yeah,
it was crazy because I was stuck between the pain, and on the other hand, everyone telling me when you get the surgery, your life is over. So I was like, okay, my life is over right now. After the surgery, my life is over. So I'm either a cripple now, or I'm a cripple later. It doesn't matter what I do. Right. So in the end,
I'm surprised people were telling you that because so many people had hip replacements that still work out and stuff. I didn't. To be honest with you, I couldn't imagine that you did what you did. That's almost like unheard of to be able to put that size back on without having any problems. But you obviously have a very strong mindset, and that's Lesley. What I want you to comment on mindset. But extreme behavior combined with mindset, good thing, bad thing. When does it go overboard, and how do we rein that in? You know, because obviously Roman's still an extremist. You know, after all these years.
Well, you know, and it doesn't necessarily mean being an extremist is a bad thing. You know, could it lead to some bad, consequences? Sure, it can lead to injuries and a whole bunch of things. But the thing is that for anyone to be the best of the best in the world, you have to have some type of extreme behavior. If you don't, you're going to be what we call normal. Who wants normal results? No one does. So you always have to do that extra. Some people do a whole lot more extra. Now, the thing is, with people like Roman, you don't have to tell Roman to work harder.
No.
If anything, you have to hold him back.
Slow him down a little bit. Yeah. God had to throw the hip at him to slow him down a little bit. Yeah.
But, some people that's part of who they are as far as people. You don't have to teach them work harder. They already do it. Like I said, if anything, you have to pull them back because they can be their own worst enemies. But when you were saying that, when you were having this, it's the bad and the worst as far as, okay, your life is going to be over after this surgery and it's going to be sucking with all this pain. What's there to look forward to? So I understand why you went through that depression, Roman. I'm just curious, how did you get yourself out of that? Or did you have to kind of feel, hey, you know what? I am beating this. When I was able to go to the gym that first time, I was able to do, the 4 or 5 or whatever it was that you did. When did you start having a switch in your mind?
I get to the point where I thought, okay, the pain is so bad. I'm just going to go for the surgery and whatever happens, happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I got the surgery done. I was in the hospital for 5 days. And obviously the first workout I did, the day after I got out of the hospital, there was chest. So I figured, okay, let's do some incline Smith presses, start light, see what happens. My first leg workout was just sitting on the bench, actually on the seat of my lat pull-down machine, sitting down and getting back up, sitting down, getting back up.
Right.
I did that 15. I think I got 14 or 15 reps, and I couldn't get up off the seat without grabbing the handle that was hanging, and then pull myself up. So I reached failure with body weight, like literally. Yeah. And I was sore for 5 days. That was crazy.
But was it worth it to be sore for 5 days? Of
Yes.
course.
But your hip didn't hurt, right? Your hip didn't hurt, though.
My hip didn't hurt, and the only thing that hurt was muscle.
Mhm.
So I figured, and at that point I was like, I can move. It does not hurt.
Yeah.
If it doesn't hurt, it can't be bad. I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I just took it day by day.
Yeah.
The next workout, I had a 5-pound plate in my hand, and at some point I had 2 25-pound plates hanging in both hands, and I did my squats.
Mm-hmm.
And then my legs started getting better, and my whole body started to grow. I started to eat more, and the snowball just went rolling.
Yeah.
You know. And I took it all the way up to 296 from 230, and I have never.
I want to ask you a question, because you found out that you had an infection in your hip, and they had to redo it. Look, I just got back from the doctor, and I found out I'm going to need another surgery on my foot. It's the worst feeling of all time.
It is.
Your prognosis was probably better than mine. I don't have an infection, but I have like a broken something in there. You know, how did you deal with that? That had to be a tough one.
That was tough because, the first surgery was in December, and by February, I had already. So in January, I was already deadlifting 4 plates.
Right.
And then mid-February, they were like, yeah, so we got to go in there and do everything over again. And because it's infected, we might have to put like a replacement hip in there, like a dummy.
Temporary, yeah.
Yeah, a dummy. And you can't walk for 3 months. Maybe that could be the case. It depends on how bad it's infected it is.
A lot of times they have to put beads in there, little antibiotic beads in there.
Mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. And that was devastating because I already got through the whole thing once mentally. And then they're telling me, well, you got to go through it again, and it might even be worse than this one. It was devastating, but I think I wasn't able to grasp the whole situation at that point. It was so nightmarish, so worst case scenario like that I couldn't even take it all in at once. Yeah. So I got the second surgery, and then I did a whole coma thing, and everything happened. All I wanted to know when I woke up from the coma is, what's with the hip? Is it good now? Is it bad? Well, the surgeon did the whole, while I was had the hypothermia, he did the whole thing and sawed me up, and it was good since then.
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy thing you went through. Were you very depressed when you woke up? Did you think, oh my God,
I was standing in my hospital room. It had a balcony. And a couple nights after I first woke up, I stood on the balcony on the very railing. The railing wasn't high because I don't know why. And I was contemplating, well, if I jumped down, it would be all over.
Right.
And then, I'm not gonna jump down because I can't leave my wife alone. Maybe I'm jumped down and she's relieved that she's finally rid of all the problems I'm causing.
Yeah.
And that was my back and forth a couple hours, a couple times, a couple of the first nights that I was standing on the balcony and just contemplating, well, I could jump down and it would be all over. It would probably be better for everyone around me. Maybe it would hurt my mom. Maybe it would hurt my wife. No, wait, maybe not. And that was going on in my head for a couple nights, for like the first 4 or 5 days. And then I just said, fuck it. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pull through. I've done it once. I'm going to do it twice. And yeah. but I was in a very, very dark place.
Lesley,
Because think about it, there was still the whole COVID thing going on.
Right.
And I was in the hospital. I was basically locked up for 2 weeks because I couldn't
alone.
have any
Alone. Yes.
alone in a single room.
Yeah.
That could make you suicidal for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lesley, what do you tell people when they let's say he had called you during that period of time and told you how he felt? I mean, what do you tell someone? How do you walk someone through something like that? Because that is a very depressing situation to find yourself in, especially isolated like that.
To say, okay, well, there's a lot of things we can't control as far as you being in, as far as the environment, the restrictions around the environment. But, you used your extreme behavior with your extreme thinking, Roman, and that's what helped propel you through this. You also listened to your body, even after like the first surgery. You were careful when you returned to the gym. You didn't overdo it. You just did what. Now, most of us wouldn't have
That's
been.
questionable, Lesley.
But I'm just saying it's more about listening to your body, but using the extreme behavior of I'm not letting anything taking me down. I went, and then the second time it's like I've been through this before. I'm not gonna, it's kind of like I'm gonna do this again. That's not even a question. It's a done deal. And that's the thing with the extreme behavior. There's no gray. It's like this way or that way. And that's why you're on the balcony. You're going from one extreme to the other. There wasn't a middle ground. When you have that extreme behavior and the extreme thinking, it's black or white, this way or this way.
But what I think what saves Roman, he's very intelligent, and I think he eventually has the debate with himself, and the wiser Roman always wins out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's being able to express that, and sometimes when people do it in their own heads, they spiral, and they don't get that other voice. Like the other voice, that more rational voice comes out, but it gets stomped out by those insecurities. But when we're stubborn, and this is, I don't know if you've ever been called stubborn, Roman, before. Yes. But this is actually
German. Of course, he's stubborn.
Well, you have to be stubborn. I say, the negative understanding of stubborn, it gets a negative rap, but it actually means that you're really resilient. You're really persistent. You don't let things, get to you, to the point of that being the end goal. It's like, if this is my goal, I'm going to do it. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. And you don't make excuses. It's like, okay, yeah, I did have this surgery or I did have this issue, but I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. And that's part of the extreme behavior that can work for you. So when people say, is extreme behavior bad? I'm saying, well, it depends on the context. In Roman's context, it probably saved his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that extreme behavior is as long as you can apply it in a constructive way is always better. Is that the second or the first tip right there?
That's the first one.
Okay. So what did they do? Is that an anterior approach they gave you?
No, that's on my ass.
Oh, how come they didn't do an anterior? Usually do anteriors on athletes.
That my quad is too thick.
Wow, really? Huh.
Yeah,
do you have to worry about dislocations with this thing?
I dislocated it once.
You did?
Yeah.
How did that? Tell us that story.
I was sleeping, lying in bed, and when I woke up and half asleep, and the blanket was wrapped around my leg because I was like turning and the blanket was wrapped around my leg. So I'm still half asleep, pulled the blanket out under me and pulled my leg out with it.
Oh my God. Oh. How much did that hurt?
It didn't even hurt. It just popped. And I was like, I can't move my leg.
Now, are you not allowed to move your leg, like cross your legs over still?
I can do whatever I want with this.
Oh, you can? Okay. Because a lot of times they say with the anterior approach, you can do it. There's no dislocation risk. I don't know why, and then with the posterior approach, you do have a potential for dislocation. Yeah.
I can do whatever I want, but they dislocated. They had to get to the hospital, and they put me on anesthesia, put the leg back in, and I woke up an hour later and was ready to go home.
Wow. What a crazy thing. Lesley, if people, and Roman's very resilient, as you pointed out. I mean, he's like, this most stubborn guy I've ever seen. He will not give up. He's just, that's his personality. But for people who maybe aren't as strong as he is emotionally and mentally, I mean, what do you recommend when someone's got to go through something like this? I'm facing something with my foot now that's terrible. You know, I'm gonna have to get another surgery in a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to be non-weight bearing for like 6 months, and then I might even need an ankle replacement at some point. It's a very daunting feeling, because when you get to a certain point in life where you feel like you don't have control over what's going on anymore, or you think, well, maybe I'm on the downslide of things. You know what I mean? Like, things are just going to keep getting worse. How do you get out of that mindset? I'm pretty strong-minded too, but you know, even at the end of the day, we're all human, and you know, if enough bad shit happens, you know, it's depressing.
Of course, it's not about being happy all the time or strong all the time. It's about saying, okay, when you're not feeling strong, what do you do? So you have strategies, you have people. I always tell people have a support network. And if you don't have one, start developing one. It's not about the number of people. It's about the quality of people in your life. Now, these could be people, whether they've gone through similar things, they get you, they're not going to be judgmental, they're going to be supportive, they're going to give you some good strategies. That can include a professional like myself. But it's about saying, okay, what can you do? There's a lot of stuff you can do. You just got this news, this morning, Dave, about this piece. And it's to focusing, okay, yeah, it's daunting. Try not to get too ahead of yourself. Because yes, can worst case scenarios happen? Yes. But if you're going to focus on every worst case scenario right now, it's going to become overwhelming. Right. Deal with one thing at a time, the most immediate thing, what is within your control, what can you work on, and focus on those things.
Sure.
And because the thing is, like I said, people tend to do this future predicting thing. That's where the anxiety comes in. When we look in the past, that's more the depression stuff.
Right.
As far as regrets.
I try to focus on whatever's going on around me that I get enjoyment out of and pleasure out of. And I don't try to focus on the negative. But then some people think, well, oh, you're just ignoring you're living in denial or something like that. But I don't believe that. I think that if you focus on positive things in your life, that the negatives will take care of themselves. You know, because we really, like you said, it doesn't matter how much you worry about what's going on. It's not going to make the situation get better.
It's not going to change anything. So why not enjoy the ride as much as you can? So you don't necessarily have to look out the same window. You know, it's like, to your point, there's other things in your life that you can be focusing on. Sure. I mean, you've got kids. I mean, your daughter, was it Shayla that just celebrated her 3rd birthday?
Yeah, 3 years old. My fear would be if I jumped out that window that Roman was looking at, that I might live. I would be like, I'll probably survive and be crippled. It'll be worse, you know. Mm-hmm. That would be you, Roman. You'd jump out the window and you'd be fine. You'd be okay. You know, you'd be like,
I thought of that too.
I don't know how he survived, but he's fine. He just now he has a broken leg. His other leg is broken now. You know?
But the thing is, he'll still live to tell about it because he's that resilient. You know, and that's. But you know, the thing is, when you go through this stuff, the other piece is that there's other people, not just bodybuilders, but there's other people who've gone through, these kind of injuries, and it's just saying, well, you can get through this too, because this is the thing. When you go through shit, share some of your wisdom, what you've benefited, because if it can help somebody else, why not?
Yeah. And you can't beat yourself up, because we could sit here all day and say, well, Roman's hip went, or my foot went, or this happened to me because I was such an extreme bodybuilder and I weighed 300 pounds and I trained. You know what? I never hurt myself when I weighed 300 pounds. Is this the ramifications of what I did early? Who knows? I don't know, but you can't beat yourself. I could have done nothing athletic in my whole life and I still might be in the same situation. So you just don't know. And it's stupid to try to lay blame on, well, if I didn't do that, or I didn't do this, or I didn't lift here, or I didn't run 10 miles a day for 5 years, maybe I would be in better shape now. But I would have accomplished everything that I accomplished. You can't beat yourself up for your past.
Agreed. Because the thing is, we wouldn't be who we are today if it wasn't for the choices we've made. Yeah. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But that's what builds our character, how we learn and grow from that.
That's right. Well, Roman, I appreciate you coming on and sharing all those stories with us, because I think it makes people see that you're human, that we're all human, that things happen, and that, true champions find a way to overcome these obstacles and get past them and still show up at their best. And that's what you did. And that's what makes you a champion,
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Ron.
And good luck in Italy in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go crush it.
Yeah. I think you're going to shake up a lot of things. Hey, have you ever tried to think about doing the Arnold Classic?
In UK?
No, yeah, well, that one too. But I was thinking just the USA one.
I have not applied yet. I have not.
You want to do the UK one?
Yeah, I asked. They said no.
They said no. Maybe if they tell them to watch this story. What a great! They need a couple of very motivational stories in their lineup. They're crazy not to have you in there. I'm gonna make a phone call when I hang up. I'm gonna send this link to everyone. So, hey, Roman, you're a great guy. I love you, man, and thank you for coming on and sharing that story with us.
Thank you.
All right, if you want to continue to ask Lesley more questions about extreme behaviors and stuff like that, she's going to be on her YouTube channel, as always, right after this show ends. So head over there. Maybe Roman has a few more questions so you can get an answer. Roman's probably going to go downstairs to his dungeon gym and work out, right?
Nah, today's my day off.
Oh, wow. Okay. You got to have days off. I always tell people that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And what do you do on your day off? Do you just do work at home?
Yeah, I have some computer work to do, and I eat, obviously, and went to the tanning. I went to the dentist, then a tanning salon, and all that.
Gotcha. All right. Got to do some housekeeping stuff.
Yeah.
For now, we are going to wrap this show up. And once again, we'll be back again next week. Lesley and I, if you have any suggestions for shows, please put them in the comments below. I'm Dave Palumbo with Lesley, Timbol, and Roman Fritz. We'll see you next time.